When we started the triathlon research inventory at the beginning of this process with you, the first thing I asked you to do was write down your goals and what you're trying to achieve in the sport. And over the last 3 videos, we've gone through everything that you can do to find gains in order to help you achieve those goals. And the purpose of the last exercise and the last 2 parts of the checklist is we're going to revisit those goals and how to achieve them by going through your mental mindset inventory, how you should perform and behave on training and racing in order to achieve your goals in accordance with how pros do it. And then finally, after we've gone through that, I want to walk you through an inventory of what it's going to mean to you in terms of time and money spent in order to achieve those goals. And then you need to decide at the end of this, are my goals important, and are they important enough for me to spend the time and energy and money that I need to do to get there? Or perhaps do I need to adjust them based on the time that I have available? And that's the key part of this whole process, is you have to make a decision. What are you willing to put into the sport in order to get what you need out of the sport for greater happiness in life and connection and all the different things that you think the sport is going to give you. So let's talk about racing. All the training in the world is worthless if you show up on race day and bomb on race day. And I've talked to so many triathletes on the phone who are thinking about coming to a triathlon research camp, and actually some of them have said, well, before I make a decision on coming to the camp, let me just first see how my race next month goes at nationals, or my race next week goes. And I say, well, that's strange. Why would you need to wait until your race day in order to make a decision? Well, maybe I won't want to do the sport anymore after that race, because I think we've all had bad races, and you know how crushingly debilitating it can be to show up on race day and not perform the way you know you can perform based on your physiological training and your potential that you've shown yourself. So racing is such an emotional event for people that you really need to understand why you do or don't perform on race day. And I've worked with and studied and talked to Mark Allen, 6-time Ironman world champion, Dave Scott, who was also on a live event that we did, and Bobby McGee, 6-time Olympic running coach. And I've talked to all of them, but really in detail, talked to Mark and Bobby about this, and both of them have told me that the key to racing is mindset. Once you get to the starting line, your fitness is your fitness. You're gonna race up to the maximum potential of your physiological fitness, or you're not. And that's what separates Olympic gold medalists from everyone else in the sport. And one of the concepts that pro triathletes and their coaches understand is this idea that Bobby McGee's talked about extensively with exercise physiologist Ross Tucker. And have you ever been on a race and just felt like you're gonna die and I can't push it anymore? Well, actually, that's a sensation you get from your body as a protection mechanism. But really, if you were to push yourself more when you think you're gonna die, you're not gonna die, because your body has things in place physiologically that will actually shut you down before you're able to kill yourself through exercise. Your body's extremely smart, and what pros have learned how to do is get much closer to the edge of their physical potential that they've trained than most people, age groupers, elites, go out and might have a tremendous amount of physical potential based on their training, but they just haven't figured out how to push it to the limit. And that's why they're not professional triathletes. That's why they haven't qualified for Kona in their age group. It's really mental. So here's how professional triathletes trick their bodies into getting close to their physical limits, which you can never reach, and actually push yourself to the point that you're going to kill yourself. And they do psychological profiling. US Olympic Committee has a battery of tests that they put athletes through to help figure out what motivates you. Some athletes love and need adrenaline, and race day is all about feeding that need and their personality type. Other athletes who are more process driven and maybe more introverted, too much adrenaline is going to spike them over the edge and cause them to crash physically, psychologically, and they're just not going to perform. So every athlete has a different adrenaline tolerance, and every athlete has a different racing psychology. So all the pros and the Olympians are finding out where they are, and based on that, they're now going in and doing detailed mental visualization and rehearsal of races. And what is visualization? Well, it's looking at a race and planning for every contingency. Instead of visualizing a perfect race, which we all dream about at night naturally, it's what's going to happen at the beginning when I get clobbered in the swim, or what's going to happen when I go out too fast and start breathing too hard in the water. How am I going to deal with that? And thinking through everything that could go wrong in a race, and then how you're going to react to that mentally and adjust, is really the key to race day performance. And then one of the final things that a lot of professional triathletes have learned how to do is get into that zone. And this is something that Mark Allen talks about extensively in his talks on mindset and what allowed him to finally win in Kona and then go on to win 6 straight Ironman World Championships, is this concept of thinking a lot less while you're racing, because most amateurs think way too much while they're racing and think way too much while they're training. And professionals think a lot while they're training and have learned how to, and have actually practiced switching off their mind while they're racing. And that's really a key skill to develop, is just how to quiet your mind and calm yourself in races when everything seems to not be going the way you wish it would go, because nothing's going to be perfect in racing, nothing's perfect in life. So that's what professionals do to get ready for racing, and it's not an instant thing. It's a habit, it's a psychological, you're almost rewiring your entire psychology as an athlete from the time, everything that's ever happened in your life is contributing to your psychology as an athlete. And using athletics and triathlon to help rewire parts of that can not only get you great results in the sport, but can also have tremendous results in the rest of your life. I like to say that triathletes use it as therapy. It's better than laying down on a couch and paying someone to tell them about your feelings. Triathlon allows you to work on those things with your approach to racing, which can apply to every area of your life. So once you have figured out your training and you're doing well in fitness, understand that that's not going to magically get you to your race day goals. You have to actually work on that. Racing is a skill. Your mindset is a muscle that you need to exercise, just like the rest of your body. So after we've gone through all of these the first 5 things, which is your equipment inventory, your transition inventory, your form inventory in each discipline, your training inventory, and finally your mindset inventory, it's time to look at what goals you set for yourself in the sport and whether those are realistic. And there's a cost to the sport of triathlon you can't get away from. Typical professional triathletes give up they don't have other jobs, they live, eat, breathe, and no matter what they're making in the sport, if you want to be a professional these days to go to the World Championships in Ironman or in the Olympics, triathlon has to be your job, which means you're spending 25 to 35 hours a week training. And then everything else you're just sleeping and refueling with nutrition to get ready for that training. Triathlon is a tremendously demanding sport. Typical elites are training about 20 to 25 hours a week. Typical age groupers, high-end age groupers, spending 10 to 15 hours a week to get to iron distance and some of the larger objectives that age groupers have. But there is a unavoidable time cost. Now, some people train a lot more efficiently than others. I'm not saying that just because pros train 35 hours a week, you need to be a pro, but there's a time cost to getting there. The other cost is money. The typical professional triathlete, because of sponsors and just putting all their life's work and savings into the sport, they're going to spend $50,000 to $100,000 at least on equipment, and sometimes a lot more if you have the resources to do so. Typical elite triathletes that I've spoken to have admitted to me that they spent, when they added up between the different bikes that they've had and the different wetsuits and running shoes and everything else, they're going to have spent $25,000 to $50,000 on the sport over the course of their career. So if you want to be an elite and make worlds, understand that between now and whenever that your journey in the sport ends, you need to budget for this amount of investment in the sport. The next age groupers, even age groupers who are just doing it for lifestyle and don't have huge time or distance goals in the sport, are spending at least $10,000 to $15,000 in the sport. So triathlon is incredibly expensive. Think about the time that you need to spend every week. Sit down and add up your own time. How much time do you spend swimming? How much time do you spend running? How much time do you spend cycling every week? Add that up. Once you've added that up 10 to 15 hours a week, multiply that by 52 weeks in a year, and then take 4 weeks off for your off season or however much time you take off. Typical professional triathletes are spending 1,500 hours a year training. Elite triathletes are spending 800 to 1,000 hours a year training. Even age groupers are spending 500 to 700 hours a year training. That's a huge investment. So think about what your time is worth. What do you get paid for your time, whether you're a lawyer or a by hour employee or a small business owner? What do you earn a year, and what do you get compensated for that time? And just do the math and understand that the time you spend in triathlon, I firmly believe, makes you more productive in those other areas of life, but it's still a cost. There's only a certain amount of hours in a day. What could you be doing with that time otherwise, spending it with your family? And the big thing I like to tell triathletes to look at, when you look at how much time you need to put into the sport to achieve your goals, what's that overall impact going to be on your business? What's that overall impact going to be on your career? What's that overall impact going to be on the time you get to spend with your family? And that's why I have people do this inventory. Is if you have a goal of getting to Kona and becoming a professional triathlete, there's a time cost, there's a money cost, and you need to understand the impact of that and whether or not it's worth it to you. And that's why we go through this final inventory. And then there's other hidden expenses in the sport of triathlon that you might not have calculated at all. Think about your nutrition. A typical professional triathlete is going to spend $800 to $1,000 a month at least on nutrition. Even if you're an age group triathlete training 500 to 700 hours a year, you're going to spend an extra $300 to $500 a month on just refueling your body, unless you're losing weight. And it's a hidden cost that most triathletes don't at all factor into their expenses in the sport. And then finally, what are you spending on coaching? All professional triathletes these days have coaching or advisors. Most elites have coaches. Most age groupers don't have coaches. So if you look at all the things you've spent money on and could spend money on, what are professionals doing different than you? Well, this entire checklist that I just gave you, this entire inventory, is a lot. It's a lot to take in. Who's going to help you implement that? And that's why we run our Triathlon Research Camps, is to help immerse you in this material and teach you all of this so that you can better implement it, getting that hands-on experience. But also, we have coaches there, and we recommend that you really consider coaching if you want to become an elite or a professional triathlete, or even if you just have big goals in your age group ambitions. Coaching really is the difference to help you implement all the things that we just talked about. So this inventory really, I hope it gave you something valuable to help evaluate your entire journey through the sport. You're doing triathlon for a reason. Let's face it, there's more efficient, less expensive ways in time and money to stay fit, be thin, and achieve those kind of goals. So if that's why you're in the sport of triathlon, you might want to look at the real reason you're doing it. And I think everyone's in this sport for much bigger reasons than just staying healthy and being fit. It's about achieving something great and having that sense of adventure in a modern life where we've really stripped world of most of its hardship, and getting that visceral connection with you as a physical being pursuing a great goal and an adventure. And that used to be baked into life with the physical labors of farming and factory work, and old days when we were hunter-gatherers. And our physiology, I think, really craves that and makes us a much better person in the end. So I hope this inventory was helpful to you. If you would like to get a copy of this inventory sheet, all you have to do is sign up for one of our coaches for a free 60-minute coaching call. You can go over the results of this inventory on the call, get on there with your coach, and figure out, based on what you just went through, what areas do I really need help in. Show up on the call saying, look, I've gone through this whole inventory and I know I need help in my transition. I know I need help in my swimming form. I know I need help on my training planning. And just zero in on that the hour is yours. Zero in on that area that you've identified that you know you need to change in order to get to the next level. And then at the end of the call, we'll figure out if there's a way that we might be able to help you get to the next level as a triathlete through a lot of the different things that we offer in the triathlon research camps or triathlon research labs or other programs. So really just want to finally thank you for being a member of the triathlon research community. Thank you for investing in yourself as a triathlete. I think the sport has a hugely positive impact on individuals, and because it's growing so fast, I'm excited to be part of promoting it as a national health initiative where people just become better in all areas of their life. And just really looking forward to continuing to watch your journey and hear your feedback. Please leave comments below the video, send me emails about what you're doing. We do read everything and respond to it. And we look forward to continuing to build this community and the mission of the sport in the years to come.